If you're watching this video, you must support women doing crimes because I'm Girl Splitting Gaming and this is my Aloy, Savior of Meridian deck tech, also known as Aloy, Savior of my ass. As soon as I saw the PlayStation Secret Lairs come out, I knew I had to grab Aloy because Horizon Zero Dawn is my favorite game series on console of all time. I have all the DLCs, I have all the games, I've finished most of them. I can't get enough of it. I love the stories of the games, I love the world building, the graphics are beautiful, and I like that it features a female protagonist who's not like hypersexualized or used in any way. She's just gone through her own story, building an army, making friends, and kicking ass. The card Aloy, Savior of Meridian can be cast for 3, a blue and a green, my favorite color combo. She's a legendary creature, human warrior. She's a 3/5 with vigilance and reach, and in you, all things are possible. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control attacks, discover X, where X is the greatest power among them. As a reminder, discovering is exiling cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with that mana value or less. Cast it without paying its mana cost, or put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So the point of this deck is to get huge, high mana cost, high power artifact creatures out and be able to cheat them out for free using Aloy's main mechanic. Something that I think makes a strong set or a strong Magic deck is the concept of scaling value over the time of the game. What I mean by scaling value is something is good if you put just a little bit of mana or a little bit of effort into it, and it's really good if you spend more time developing that on your board. This deck definitely does that because there are a lot of smaller artifact creatures in there as well, so you can get her ability rolling right away. First, I want to feature the other 5 cards from the Secret Lair. I decided to put all of them in because, duh, they all look like her. So that's going to be Growth Spiral, Phasbor 7 Horus, which is actually Blightsteel Colossus, Thunderjaw, which is Meteor Golem, Farseek, and Regala's Wrath, which is Tarian's Soul Cleaver. I absolutely love the art on all of these. I just think it is so perfect with the game. I also appreciate that only one card of this is mechanically unique, and that is Aloy. I do like when the Secret Lairs are mostly just reskins of things that already exist in Magic, but I also love her ability. I think it's so cool, and this is my first artifact build, so I'm excited to get into it. There's a lot of categories of cards in this deck, as you know I like to do. This one, obviously, we're starting off with the 6 cards from the Secret Lair. Then we'll get into other artifact cards, large artifact creatures, things that make artifacts easier to cast, thematic spells that deal with artifacts, and some other cards. Did I miss any? Oh, and you can't forget about lands. Let's start with cards that care about how many artifacts you have on the board. A lot of these are going to have just their power or their power and toughness be equal to the number of artifacts that you control. So to start off, we've got Emissary Escort, which gets +X+0, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. We have Glintbreaker, which is not an artifact creature in itself, it's a Drake, but it'll get +X+0, where X is the highest mana value among artifacts you control. It also helps with card draw because when it deals combat damage to a player, you may reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put an artifact card revealed this way into your hand. It's got flying, so it might not be too difficult to do that even at the beginning of the game. Filigree Attendant, simply power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. This is also flying. We've got Darksteel Juggernaut, which, unsurprisingly, power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. This one's a little different though. It has indestructible and it attacks each combat if able. Master of Ethereum, you guessed it, power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. It also gives other artifact creatures you control +1/+1. And finally in this category we've got Broodstar, power and toughness equal, you get the point, but it has affinity for artifacts, so even though it costs 10 mana to cast, it might only actually cost you 2 blue, which is pretty cool. It also has flying. On to the next category, which is really good big artifact creatures. Some of these are totally classic and they belong in any really good artifacts deck. Others are newer and exciting that we can meld them into a game that spans Magic's history. So we've got Wurmcoil Engine, one of the classics. This is a 6/6 with Death Touch and Lifelink. Whenever Wurmcoil Engine dies, you put a 3/3 colorless worm artifact creature token with Death Touch, and then the same thing, but one with lifelink onto the battlefield. I like drawing these with my infinite tokens as Worm and Coil. Best friends. You've got Darksteel Colossus, and I have the really pretty Secret Lair version because why not? It's got Trample and Indestructible. Its power and toughness are 11/11, and it also costs 11 to cast. If it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Darksteel Colossus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead, which is pretty similar to the Blightsteel Colossus, which is in the Secret Lair. We've also got Ancient Stone Idol in here, which costs 10 mana to cast, but is discounted by each attacking creature you control. It's got Flash and Trample, and when it dies, create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with Trample. I think this is great value in a deck where you're able to cheat things out for free or discounted because you can even get benefit when it dies. In this deck, it's really helpful to have creatures that are able to return to the battlefield or make another creature when they die because you want to be attacking with your high mana cost and high power artifact creatures in order to get Aloy's ability to shine. We also have Threefold Thunderhulk in here, which is not the hugest artifact creature, but it really serves to widen your board so that you get the effects of having a lot of artifacts to discount other things. Also, having a wide board is good. You have things to sacrifice, you have blockers. This is a great one. Thopter Spy Network is an enchantment that will also help you widen your board. You're going to be making Thopters all the time. Thopter Spy Network has a twofold benefit because you're going to be putting a Thopter onto the battlefield every turn if you control an artifact, which surely you will. And whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you'll draw a card. So this is really key. A lot of the stuff in here has flying, some of it has trample, so this is a really good draw engine if you need it to be. Diamond Weapon. In all the games that I've played, I've never actually drawn this one, so I haven't been able to play it yet, but it's a really fun addition to the deck because it costs 1 less to cast for each permanent card in the graveyard. Again, you're getting some value once things die, so you could play it for 2 green instead of 2 green and 7. It is immune, so you'll prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it. It's an 8/8. Big artifact creature, very nice. Then we've got Thought Monitor, which has affinity for artifacts. Again, you're discounting the cost to cast. It's got flying. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. This is another good one where if you have a lot of artifacts out and you can attack with it, you can get Aloy's ability off. And then we've got Krang, Utrom Warlord. I picked this up in a pack that I got at MagicCon Vegas with my Creator Badge merch pack, so very exciting, and I thought, oh, that's gotta go in Aloy right away. It's got Flying, Trample, Indestructible, and Haste, and it gives other artifact creatures you control all of those things. It's also a 9/9. That's crazy. What do you mean? Yeah, this is perfect. It needs no explanation. My next category for you is ways to get artifacts on the battlefield more easily. This could mean discounting the cost to cast them or cheating them out for free, which of course goes along with Aloy's ability, as it all goes back to. There's a bunch of creatures and artifacts in here that allow you to add mana. Usually these are going to add mana only to cast artifacts or activate abilities of artifacts. These cards are going to be Renowned Weaponsmith, Vidalcan Engineer, Oaken Siren, and Memnon, the Right Hand. Then we've also got a few that make artifacts easier to cast, usually discounted by 1. These are going to be Ethereum Sculptor, which itself is an artifact creature, Cloud Key, Foundry Inspector, and then Lodestone Golem, which doesn't make your things easier to cast necessarily, but it does make non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast, which can slow your opponents down. There's 2 cards in here that can also help you get artifacts out for free, and these are Ovia, Automech Artisan, and Sledge Class Seed Ship. I was really excited to be able to incorporate some cards from Aether Drift and Edge of Eternities in here because we've had a lot of really great artifact support in the last couple years, so it's great to be able to include those in here. Yes, I'm an Aether Drift lover. So Ovia reads, for 3 and a green, she's a 1/2 human artificer. So this is really the only thing she's doing. Each creature that's attacking one of your opponents has trample. That's not even the main ability here, but that's really good when we've got huge creatures. For 1 green and tapping her, you may put a creature or vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put an artifact onto the battlefield this way, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. For this to work, in this deck, you really have to have it be an artifact creature already. Good thing I've just listed a ton of those, so that's not really a problem. And the Sledge class Seed Ship is a spacecraft from Edge of Eternities. It's got a decently high station cost of 7+, but it's not too hard to do that in a deck with really big artifact creatures in it. So once you've got it stationed up, it'll have flying and be a 4/5. And importantly, whenever this spacecraft attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. This is a great ability because even if you only get it off once before this thing is taken out, you could cheat out your Darksteel Colossus or your Shazbor 7 Horus Blightsteel Colossus or some other big artifact in here. And of course, it's an artifact itself, so it will add to the number of artifacts on your board. Count how many times I've said artifact in this video. There's a couple cards that I added to this category because it helps you draw or find artifacts, not necessarily playing them, but you know, they have to be in your hand for you to play them, so I guess that counts. That's going to be Reality Heist, which is a pretty expensive instant, but it costs 1 list to cast. You guessed it, for each artifact you control. Sensing a theme here. You look at the top 7 cards of your library, you may reveal up to 2 artifact cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then we've got Adaptive Omni-Tool and Artifact itself, which gives equipped creature +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it's got equip 3. Let's talk about lands. First up, easy, we've got some lands that are also artifacts. We've got Seat of the Synod, Tanglepool Bridge, Tree of Tales, and Darksteel Citadel. We've also got Balam Garden. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly in the comments. Seed Academy, this is from Final Fantasy. It enters tapped, and if you pay a bunch of mana and tap it, you can transform this land. I don't have any other towns in this deck, so it's not going to cost less, but what are you going to do with your mana late game? And then it transforms into Balam Garden Airborne. This is a legendary artifact vehicle with flying, and whenever it attacks, draw a card, crew 1, and it's a 5/4. So there's another artifact for you. I also have some lands in here that just do fun things with artifacts, help you cast them, etc. So I'll go through those. We've got Inventor's Fair, where if at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you will gain 1 life. You can also pay 4, tap it, and sacrifice it. To search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. You can only activate this if you control 3 or more artifacts, but again, it's not going to be too hard to do. We've got Academy Ruins, which for 1 and a blue and tapping it lets you put target artifact card in your graveyard on top of your library. Great way to get some of those big ones back if they do happen to die. Then we've got 2 lands from sets I really liked that I was searching for a place to use and just could not find one until I built an Artifact Matters deck. So that's going to be Secluded Starforge from Edge of Eternities and Fomori Vault from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Secluded Starforge for 2 and tapping it, you can tap X untapped artifacts you control, which doesn't need them to be creatures. It can be treasures, it can be clues, it can be your Seated Synod, land, whatever. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery, or 5 and tap it, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. If you're dumping your mana into this in the late game, maybe you want to draw some more cards and play some more big artifacts, but still, it's a thing to do if you need it. Fomori Vault. Very excited about this one. You can pay 3 and tap it and discard a card to look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is one of the things that I would say really demonstrates the scaling value, because if you have 1 artifact, this is good. If you have 20 artifacts, this is really good. And then of course, Breeding Pool and Willow Rush Verge, because I like these lands. My last category here is other spells that I like in this deck. Now, I'm not talking about every single card in here, but here are some other ones that I think are really thematic and key to this Artifact Aloy deck. This is Zoetic Glyph. It's an enchantment. You can enchant an artifact to become a 5/4 golem creature, and then whenever it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you discover 3. I like this because you could, if you say have a treasure, make that a big golem if you really need a big creature at that moment. We've got Gene, my guy, Gene Pollinator. This little guy is a great way to help get colors of mana that you might need. He's also a cute little artifact creature, so I just like him. We have Padim, Console of Innovation. Artifacts you control have hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest mana value or tied for the highest mana value, draw a card. And his flavor text is, impress me. I will. We have Machinate. You look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. One of the things that I really like to do in deck building is make sure that the instants, sorceries, removals, everything is still thematic to what I'm trying to do in the deck, and it's not just generic. It's not just, you know, yeah, sure, I'm trying to pick the best one, but it's more fun if they have something to do with my theme. Then we've got Virulent Silencer. I like this card. There's a lot of non-token artifact creatures in here, so it's quite possible that if you get this thing out and you deal some combat damage to a player, they'll get poison counters, your game is over. I think this is kind of a secondary win condition, protection. There's no other poison counter things in here. I just wanted that to like put a timer on the game. We've got Machine Over Matter, which cares if you have artifact creatures to make it less expensive to cost. And that's just a kick something back to its owner's hand. And then of course, my favorite removal ever, especially in decks when you have an expensive commander or some really expensive permanents out there, this is Flood of Tears. Flood of Tears is a sorcery for 6 mana that reads, return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. I love this card because it really works with the types of decks that I like to play, which is widen the board, but also have them be big. So I put this in pretty much any deck that has blue. So that's all the categories of things in my Aloy Savior of Meridian deck. I love playing this deck because it feels so natural to how I love to play Magic. I like to get things out for free. I like to attack with creatures. I like those creatures to be big. Really just classic SIMIC stuff in there. I played this for the first time and felt like I had no notes, and it's really easy to upgrade because it's pretty clear when something comes out like Krang that's really big and really good that you want to be putting that in there. So please let me know in the comments what your Aloy deck looks like, and if you've ever played the original game. I tried to make this as thematic as possible with the real game as well because, you know, I love a good theme. So let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. See you next time.